Welcome everyone to another session of Fly Tying Thursday for today, March 26th, 2026. Tonight we have a very special guest, and I'll let Mike do the introductions in a minute. I have no announcements for this week. I didn't get out to do any fishing. I'm going to try and get out Sunday. The target for this week's fishing is going to be out at Cunningham Lake by the marina. So without anything further, let me see if I can find, there he is. Let me turn the spotlight over to Mike and go from there. So it's all yours, Mike.
Okay. And just in case anybody has to leave early, I just wanted to remind everybody that we switched to Wednesdays in April. So I think April 1st is the next Zoom call. So that'll be on a Wednesday. So from now on, it'll be Wednesday nights. But anyway, tonight we have special guest, Josh Varner. Josh is a recently retired first sergeant in Spec Ops. Over the past several years, he's spent his spare time perfecting the processing and dyeing of deer hair and produces some of the best fly tying deer hair on the market. With names like Kelly Gallup, Charlie Craven, Cheech from Fly Fish Food, and Barry Ord Clark, all giving glowing reviews on YouTube. This is the real deal. The hides are soft tanned. Even the belly hair and bucktails are soft tanned, making the hair patches easy to use. And everything is really straight. You know, it's not kinked and twisted. And the hair patches and bucktails are perfectly dyed into interesting colors. His hair is personally graded, so you know the quality of what you're getting from an online source where you can't personally inspect the hair. You know, like Al was saying, you know, if you're going to tie good flies, you need to have good materials. And, you know, when you're far away from fly shops, you can't go and inspect the hair yourself. And so you're going to rely on calling the fly shop on the phone and getting somebody's opinion of what they think is the best and for what you want to do. And then, you know, you don't know if they're just trying to sell you what they have or whether it is good. But the way he grades this stuff, and he'll explain all of this, I'm sure, it's really easy for you to buy it from a fly shop and you know, be able to know what you're going to get. If anybody has any questions along the way, just feel free to break in and ask them. And with that, I'll hand it over to you, Josh. Let me.
There we go. I
There
think
you
I
are.
got it there. You got me, Mike?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Thanks for having me back again. Like we had discussed before we came on here, it's been about 3 years. And yeah, a lot has changed since then. Personally, I think the leather has gotten even softer.
Nice.
That's just part of my stubbornness and trying to continually improve. I don't know. Charlie gave me a lot of. Can I cuss on this?
Feel free.
All right. I figured with a bunch of vets, it wouldn't be a big deal. But yeah, Charlie gave me a lot of shit, saying that nobody really cares about the leather, except a couple of people, and that's me and, you know, a few people that look at it. And he's like, that's the stuff that gets thrown in the trash. But it's a source of pride for me to make sure that it is actually every piece of hair on there is workable, and it's not something that's just folded up. That to include the belly hair and the tails and everything. So that's definitely something that I take a lot of pride in, and want to make sure to ensure that quality and not be cutting corners, because I literally stamp my name on the back of it. So that means a lot to me, and hopefully it's reflected and recognized by the customers as well, you know. So yeah, what the big changes over the last 3 years is it was typically traditional trout colors, you know, your olive, sculpin olives, yellows, blacks, browns, in that realm. We started getting into more of the warm water and pike musky type colors. We've got, I'll just go through a quick rundown. These are all ones here, but I'll just go through a quick rundown of some of the colors. And then there's one that is just barely gotten on the market that I'll save for the last. But we've got a fluorescent fuchsia right now. It is an excellent, excellent pink color. We've got a red. That's one of the more popular ones here as of late. Yellow chartreuse and a chartreuse. It is very tough to tell from the video, like the difference between the two. But once you get it on the vise, once you get it in like in your hand and everything, you can see that the yellow chartreuse is just a little bit more, how would I say it, like a neon color, as to where the chartreuse is more of a lime color. I don't know how long those are going to stay in, because the more that I learn about the actual dyeing process, the closer the two of them are getting together. So it may just wind up being blended into just a straight chartreuse, but we'll see. I may be able to change up a leveling agent or something like that and get more of a yellow out of the, more of a neon out of the yellow chartreuse, but we're getting too far into the weeds at that point. We've also got this extreme blue, very popular color in both the 3x4 body and the belly hair. And then we've got a blaze orange, a rust, which I don't have here right now, and then a purple. That purple hair right there is probably 2.5 inches long. For your predator flies, your pike, your muskie, that's going to be like a phenomenal, like your, what am I looking for? Like Chad Johnson's Buford and stuff like that. I know he uses bucktail for that. Mainly he used bucktail because you couldn't find body hair long enough to form the head that he was looking for on that. But that will definitely fill the gap in that. Plus, it's a very vibrant fluorescent purple. And then the one that all the vets will certainly be excited about. This is an olive drab. This is the new color. I believe Charlie has it, and Kelly just got it last week. There was a, I was looking for a darker olive than what I initially had for a long time, and I just couldn't find anything. And then finally, as the last ditch resort, I went on to a company that I buy dyes from, and found this olive that they were advertising, and I was like, well, we'll give it a shot. We've tried everything else. And when I looked at the dye, I was like, there's no way this is going to happen. There's no way. And that's the color that came out. And I sent some out to the shops to test it before it actually went live. And I got it dialed in this last trip, or this last go through the dye bath. And that's the result. And there has been some very good feedback from the folks that I've sent it to. So I'm really excited about that one. And then my
Kelly,
favorite.
or I'm sorry, Josh.
Yeah.
When you have a color like that, and you dye a complete hide,
Mhm.
I assume with that color, right?
Yes.
So that's the short fine, all the different types of hair, even the belly is dyed with that same dye bath, or do you do the belly hair separate?
Yeah, I do the belly separate.
Okay.
Yeah, I take the belly off and I run those separate. But all of the body hair, pretty much from the rump up to the neck all stays one color. Yep.
Okay, so the point of my question was, um, do you get different, like a range of color out of that, or do you get the same color for the back, the sides, the everything? Because I know that the hair itself is different colors, but what's the range of
Absolutely.
color that you get out of that?
Yeah. So very good question on that, Mike. I do have two pieces here that I had prepped for that. There is a wide range in colors, and you can see, so right here on my left hand, that is stuff that it's more down closer toward the belly. It's still body hair, but as you get up toward the spine, you start getting more of those black lateral lines across there. This is typically a little more hollow, depending on when the deer was shot, what the temperature was, so on and so forth. But yeah, you can have a very wide range in colors on the hair, and then that translates into the difference that you will get on your flies. So there's two different dungeons. Let me get that in the frame there. You can see the heads on those are just insanely different. That is from the same hide, the exact same hide, but this one here is from close to the belly. This one's close to the spine. And you can manipulate your flies, you can manipulate your heads to get colors to match what you were doing with the rest of the fly. So it shows that you're not just putting materials on a hook and hoping for a result, like you're doing something intentionally to get a result.
Right. Now, does that make you have to call it a different color, or
No,
do you
I
just pretty
don't call
much,
it a different color.
okay,
A yellow's a yellow. The only
yep,
time that I do call it a different color is on the bleached hides, because there is a very distinct differentiator between bleached and ginger bleached. And this is more in the short fine realm, but I do it also in, the mid season and late season as well. Just because like if someone's tying dry flies, you're looking for a bleach and this shows up, it's gonna be a little bit disheartening. If you're looking for like a PMD style body, or your sulfur wings or whatever you're after. So I do differentiate the colors, but what I tell everybody is if you're looking for a certain yellow, if you're looking for more of a belly yellow, but it's still body hair, or if you're looking more toward the spine, honestly, just call the shops, because like Kelly, Charlie, Cheech, all of those guys, I've told all of them, we've had plenty of conversations and everything, and it's like they're fully versed in it. Like they've been tying so much longer than I have, so like you don't even need to um you don't even need to explain to them. Like you can just say, hey, I need something closer to the belly or something closer to the flank, and they're going to know what you're after. Or if you're like, hey, I want a little bit thinner hair on this, um, they're going to know inherently just to go up toward the spine, and they'll be able to kind of dial things in for what your application is. It's really tough when you're ordering online, and that was part of the reason why I started the whole grading process and everything, because like the stuff that I would order online, it would come in and there's an application for it for sure. You can tie flies with it, but it wasn't the application that I was looking for. When I was tying commercially, I was looking for hair to tie a big full-size dungeon order. And what came in was essentially mid-season. It was suited more for stimulators. So that's kind of where I got started. I got frustrated with the quality of hair that I was getting, not having a clue what I was doing, to be honest. Like I had no clue about tanning. I had no clue about dyeing or anything. But over the last 6 years, we've been able to dial it in and really, really make a big difference in. I feel a big difference in the tying community.
Hey Josh, where can we find your greeting system and what it means?
Um,
Yeah, you talk
Kelly
about
has.
Your one
a
grade and your
write-up.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do have a couple videos on YouTube where I've gone through the grading system, and it's just Varner streamers. If you want a transcript version, um, there is a write-up on Kelly's website, and I think it's under tutorials or something like I can't remember. But I think it was Chuck, one of the guys at the shop, wrote it up. Did a very good job on it. Very good pictures and everything. Breaking down the differences between grade ones, twos, mid-season, all of that. They didn't go into short and X, but they broke everything down really well.
Okay.
And yeah, that's a good one if you're looking for a read more so than a video. That's a very good resource.
I'll put a link in the description of the video when I post it. Then that'll
Yeah,
make it
yeah,
available for everybody.
absolutely. Yeah, and Charlie has done a very thorough video, just breaking down the differences between your. I think he had 4 pieces of natural. It was late, mid, short, and X. He did a really good, thorough short video, breaking everything down, and it was spot on. It was spot on.
Or they may want to check his price on your extra fine deer hair. $3,269 for a patch.
Oh boy, I wish I was getting half of that. That would be great.
I've got your extra fine, and it's absolutely marvelous.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was just looking for the OD stuff, and I just was looking at XF, and it says, oh, $3,200, and another patch is like $800. And I thought, I think there's kind of a typo, I think.
Yeah, was that on Charlie's website?
Yeah, that's on Charlie's website.
Okay, yeah, I'll reach out to him and let him know.
I just thought it was funny, just something humorous.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, speaking of the X, here's a piece that I brought out. This was just a good natural right there. It's just, at first I didn't know what to do with it. And these are mainly off of the Carolina hides. You will get some on the Montana hides, early season especially. But yeah, the more that I looked at it, I was like, that would be perfect upright divided because it's not going to create a lot of bulk. It was perfect tailing material. For the same reason, it's hardly compressible at all. Like if you're running a nano silk, you may be able to compress it if you're really getting Western on it. But as far as like having a bunch of flare, if you're just running like a 50 denier GSP, it's not going to flare, and it's just going to create that nice taper going up into the mayfly thorax that you're looking for without having to fight it really. And then we did add a couple of new colors onto the short fine. One of the ones we did this just last night. My buddy Joe is in town. He has been 4 years retired, 5 years retired. Yeah, him and I were stationed at Tinker and at Robbins. So he came in and was hanging out for a couple of days, and he's been working some hides and everything with me. So, but yeah, we just did this one last night. That is a beautiful cinnamon. That is one of the 13 short fine colors I think that we offer. And yeah, it is perfect for spinner bodies, cinnamon sedges, ants. It is phenomenal for an ant color. Even your male Hendrickson spinners, it would be very good for your Hendricksons. I don't know if a lot of you guys follow Rich Strolis, but he's putting a little newsletter together. I think it's going to be out this weekend or next, highlighting a lot of the mid-season deer hair. Him and I have been working back and forth together on a couple of things. Just highlighting the versatility of the mid-season. Here's a mid-black. You can't really see a color break or anything, but this is probably the most underrated hair that I think is on the market right now, just because of the versatility. Like, you can get away with probably Probably a size 16 comparadun. I don't know, maybe 16 may be pushing it. You can probably go to a 14 comparadun, but at the same on the same patch of hair, you can also spin up a little, um, marabou muddler or something like that. That's off of a natural right there, but that's natural expert, natural mid-season. So that's one of the things that we've been working to get out. Because I think a lot of folks get confused, and sometimes I confuse myself, honestly, because there's so many categories. Sometimes I look at some things and really have to look at it 3 to 4 different times before I figure out which category it goes into. But I think the mid-season is probably the most misunderstood, I guess, as far as what its applications are. But anything from, a 14 and up comparadun, a stimulator, mini muddlers, mini dungeons, anything, even mini D&Ds. I think I've got one of those right here. This is just all mid-season, and you can see the wedge head. I think this is a size 2 and a size 4 on the backside. I didn't get eyes on that one just yet, but we'll get to it here.
So with the short fine hair, is that like a seasonal or regional thing where a lot of the hide might have that length of hair, or is it from the neck and the legs and that kind of thing, or like
Yeah,
where do you
it's
get the
seasonal.
short fine hair from?
Yeah, it's seasonal. So some short fine comes from a mid-season hide, up closer to the Cape section. And then there's others, if it's shot early enough in the year, typically archery season, it can be short fine from rump to neck. Yeah, it really can. It just depends. A lot of times though, like if you get those really early season ones, what you can wind up with is a lot of guard hairs from where they're shedding their summer coat, and it can be really difficult to tie with those. So I like being a lot more selective with the short fine, making sure that it is. I try and stay away from the ones that still have a lot of that red hair in them, just because I just haven't had good success tying with it. And some of the feedback that I've got as well is just reiterated that the better hair comes from the hides that are kind of a hybrid. So like more mid-season on the back, on the rump side, transitioning up to the short fine up toward the cape. But it can be really difficult, especially when you're looking at like 5 different pieces and you're looking at an 1/8 of an inch difference. Do I call this mid? Do I call it short? How do I cut it? It can be a little bit of a challenge, but I try and get it as accurate as possible. That way, folks know what they're getting when they order a certain thing.
Do you ever get hides that are just trash that you got to get rid of because
Oh,
there's
absolutely.
just uneven
Absolutely.
hair and
Yeah.
whatever?
Yep. That you get some of the hides. Everything can go right. Everything can go right from the butcher process to me. Everything can be perfect. But if you have a really hot day, someone's been riding around in the vehicle, don't get the deer to the butcher in time, and they go through, they do their thing, they set it aside, they have it in a cooler or whatever it is. I get them and they are just rotten. Yeah, there have been a couple of those. I've thrown probably 4 or 5 out this year. As soon as you open them up, they're just you can tell. You can tell it's just dry heaving and hair slipping and everything. So yeah, you just wind up, you cut your losses at that point. I mean, there's no sense processing it. So yeah, just throw a bunch of salt on it and yeah, toss them out. Yep. Yeah. Initially tonight I was planning on tying for you guys, but busted the wrist up pretty good, and we're finally on the mend. I think we're about 50%. But yeah, this was the fly that I was going to tie tonight. It's a little DFT sculpin, just a single hook sculpin pattern. I blend the head with a whatever color I'd pick. This one's yellow, but I do it in olive sculpin, olive, some tans. But then I have some black in the head as well. And then on the underside, I've got some just bleached hair, and then I have some red rabbit that is split, kind of gives you like a little throat color there. Maybe one of these, maybe the next time we get on here, we'll do one of these. But yeah, so instead Mike and I were going back and forth, and we just decided to have a further discussion on the deer hair and everything, and the new shops that are online. We did get into Feathercraft out in Missouri. They have a very good military discount program and everything. Jeff's an awesome dude out there. We're in Dakota Angler in the Black Hills, Idaho Angler out in Boise. I'm trying to think here. We've got Living Waters down in Texas. Chris is a phenomenal dude. Obviously the OGs, Kelly, Charlie. We brought Cheech on this past year. I've had to turn down a lot of shops, mainly just because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. Get their first order out there, and then a month or two down the road they call for a refill, and I just don't have it because the other shops have the obligations, and they're constantly ordering. So eventually we'll wind up scaling, but it'll be some time until we get to the Montana shop and everything. And then Schultz Outfitters, we brought those guys on, I want to say 2 years ago. Mike is a great dude, super easy to work with. We've got the 1884 fly shop out in Western Michigan. I'm sure I'm missing one or two. But yeah, there's been a few shops that we have selectively brought on over the last year to 2 years. And yeah, have really great relationships with all the shop owners and everything. And we're trying to do it, strategically throughout certain regions. I think Feathercraft is our big Midwest shop.
Yeah, that's outstanding, especially like you said with the military discount.
Yeah.
Do you have employees, or do you just do this yourself? Other than your buddy that's visiting
Yeah.
and your dogs.
Yeah, I take advantage of folks when they say they want to come down to visit. I'm like, well, we're just going to put you to work. But no, I've got two buddies out in Idaho that do some tanning. They do, Jack's retired military. He did 24 years. I met him when we were first sergeants together. So yeah, he does some tanning, and then his buddy Josh, we brought him on last year. He does some tanning, but yeah, right now, no real employees. Christy will say that she runs the show. She's the brains of the operation. So yeah, she's the boss. I'm the employee. Yeah.
I think just from what I've seen, I wrote down copper. I think is a beautiful color. The
Yes.
ash.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were experimenting with peacock for a while. How did that end up going?
I put it on the back burner.
Yeah.
I put it on the back burner. Yeah. The problem is I couldn't get the consistency in it that I wanted. one section would turn out great, the other section looked completely opposite. I haven't been able to figure out exactly what makes the peacock actually consistent. So I've messed around with a couple different leveling agents and everything, and just haven't quite figured it out yet. So what I typically do is like when I have those hides to where I know that I'm not going to get much out of them, that's when I'll experiment a little bit, and I just haven't been able to dial it in yet. Eventually, I want to get that figured out and then have that offered full time, but it's just not there yet. You know.
The ginger bleach, I think, is awesome. And then dun. To me, comparaduns with, like a Betis comparadun with a dun color wing, and
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
that'd be
Yeah.
outstanding.
So we have the light dun, the blue dun, and then a slate.
Okay.
So your light dun is it's a very light gray. It's very subtle.
Like silver,
Yes.
kind
Yep.
of.
Yep. Almost a silver color, exactly. And then the blue dun is it is a little bit it's a little bit more of a bluish gray. Depending on where you get it from the spine section to the belly or to the flanks, yeah, they can be a little bit more blue as you get to the flank. And then the slate, I think I have one of those right here. This is in the mid-season. It's a charcoal gray, but the charcoal gray and the slate are the same color. It's just marketed different for the applications. Um, you know, slate is more of a dry fly color, more of your ISO males get that slate color, so that's why I went with that. That was one of my favorite hatches as a kid, was the ISO, the slate drake. When you get past the green drakes and everything's kind of winding down, leading into the summer or midsummer, the slate drakes were like my favorite hatch to fish. They were never really prolific, but the fish noticed them every time that they popped up just because the fly was so big, and that's almost a perfect match to a slate drake.
Awesome. You do 4x8 and 3x4,
Yeah.
or are they
Yeah.
different
So,
sizes?
yep. Here's the 4x8 in the late season, and then the 3x4 right there. The 4x8s are only in 12 colors. The most popular colors, I feel, especially for trout guys. And that's just because the 4x8s chew up so much hide. If you're really lucky, it's an exceptional hide if you get a dozen and a half pieces of 4x8 off of a hide. So in order to be able to continually offer more of a variety of colors, I scaled it down and did just your more off colors in the 3x4s, but the main 12 are still in 3x4s as well. And then eventually I'm going to do a video on the grade 2s. I don't really have a good example of a grade 2 floating around here. But sometimes you get into like these wild cowlicks and everything, and it really looks difficult to make a good or to craft a good head out of these pretty gnarly looking pieces of hair. But I want to do a video eventually and kind of walk through folks' court to where if you're looking to save a little bit of money, these grade 2s are a great opportunity to still make a good fly, but you just have to be more selective throughout the patch. Like not everything, like on this grade 1 here, like you can take any single piece of that and do anything you want with it, whether it's a collar, whether it's spinning a head, whether it's stacking. It will all work out for you. But if you're doing a grade 2, not all of the hair is a grade 2 from top to bottom. So if you're more selective on what you're going to use for your collar as opposed to what you're going to spin, you can get really good value on those 2s and still get a lot of good flies out of it. And then the other thing you had mentioned earlier, Mike, the belly hair. This is just a piece that is all chewed up. I'll wind up tying with this one, putting some stuff together, but you can see on the back side just the absolute flexibility on this. It is completely pliable belly hair, and same thing in this white right here, completely pliable. Every single hair on there is usable, as opposed to the industry standard before. That was it right there. All of these cowlicks and all of this hair, like on this backside to where it's all folded on itself, none of that stuff was usable. It always frustrated the hell out of me when I was trying to tie with that stuff. So I've got into tanning the belly hair as well, and really got that dialed in so where every single piece of hair, every hair on the patch that is in the package is usable.
So do you do anything, and maybe you don't want to say, but it seems like most of what I've seen has been perfectly straight. Is there anything you do to keep it straight, or is that part of having it soft tanned keeps it straight, as opposed to a hide that's starting to, like, get hard and buckle and everything is going to twist up and colic up the
Yes.
hair, but it just, everything seems so straight. I just wondered how you do that, if there's a process to that.
Yeah, so the tanning does play a huge role in that. A bad tan can take a good hide and make it bad. It can be self-induced cowlicks throughout the hide, absolutely. Now there are some environmental factors that play into it. Like if a deer was shot on a really hot day and the hair is already 1.5 inches plus, the hair actually starts to cowlick, so it's able to act as a cooling system for the deer. So it's able to expose the skin. They're able to self-regulate their temperature that way. And I figured that out by working with my butcher here. It was funny. Scotty's a really good dude. And I was just curious. Like I had a theory and I wanted to make sure that the theory, I wanted to confirm it, so to speak. So I told Scott we had a really cold day coming up, or a really cool morning coming up, and then it was supposed to be hot in the afternoon. And I told him, I was like, Scotty, just take a hide for me, and one that was a deer that was shot in the early morning, and then a deer that was shot in the evening. Throw them in a bag, put them in the cooler, and don't tell me which is which. I'll tell you when it was shot. And he told me I was full of shit. And I went up there, I picked the hides up, I looked at the two, and you can absolutely tell the difference. The waves that are in this ash is a really good example. I hope it shows up well in the camera, but you can see how wavy that hair is. That's because it self-regulates. It was a cold day when that deer was harvested. So those waves create extra space of air that is able to cool or keep the deer warm. The ones that have the more straight, I would say, hard hair would be like this X right there. They definitely get a lot tougher to flare and actually manipulate into spinning, stacking, etc.
The short, fine belly hair, where does that come from?
Those are specific to Carolina. Yeah,
Oh,
they're
so
specific
it's
to Carolina.
okay.
Yep.
It
Yeah.
seems to me like that'd be a good alternative for, I don't know how it is in price comparison to calf body hair, but for wings on smaller dry flies and stuff like for
Yeah.
white wings on, say, humpies and
Hmm.
those kind of things.
Yep. Yeah. It's excellent for posts as well.
Posts, right?
If you're tying para posts or anything like that is excellent choice. And you get, with the benefit of that, you get extra flotation, compared to the calf body. Yeah.
So it is more floaty,
Oh yeah. Yeah. You get more hollow properties.
right?
It's compressible to where your calf body is non-compressible. So yeah, it definitely makes a big difference there.
Josh, what
Yeah.
kind of a QC do you run on the hides as they come in? Do you accept every single hide you get, or do you inspect the hides and reject some and keep some?
So currently we take them all. We do take them all. There's a few, like I've been working with Scott, my butcher here in North Carolina now for 4 years. So he kind of has an idea of what I'm looking for, and he will throw certain ones away if he knows I'm not interested in it. But the ones from Montana, Idaho, we take all of them. We do. Um, it sucks on some of them doing all that work to get minimal return on it, but at the same time, you're also able to get a lot of your grade twos, which certain shops want the grade twos, you know.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of the twos come from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any butt tails to show?
No, they just all went out to Kelly.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they just got there last week. I did about 200 of them. Yeah, all of the tan bucktails, they're with Kelly right now. Um, I think I've got like just under 100 in the shop right now, but they're all salted up, and yeah, a couple of them are getting pickled and so on and so forth. But yeah, we're not quite there on those. Yeah, I just shipped them all out to Kelly, so yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to pick up, but yeah, I don't have any here right now.
Josh, Al's got a question for you, I think.
Okay.
Yes, just as a suggestion, you were talking about some of the defective hides that you have to throw away, or you receive some hides and you open them up and you can smell right away that they're not good because the hair is slipping and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any contacts for you. It's been so long since I was involved in this, but the rawhide braiding industry is looking for hides that the hair is slipping. That's one. And some of the stuff that you may consider bad might be very good for them. So all I'm
Okay.
saying, in your travels, if you run across someone who's in the cowboy horse equipment, the braiding circles, something you might check out.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Al.
And then Bill's asking, what do you do with scraps? Like when you're
Um,
cutting the pieces, I assume he means.
yeah, a lot of the scraps, um, I'll either keep for myself to tie, or I send to Rich Strellis and Tommy Lynch. We've got it worked out to where I send a lot of stuff up their way. They're real really big commercial tires. Rich goes through. He ties more flies than anybody in the world, I'm certain. I don't know if you guys have seen any of his stuff, but oh my goodness, he went through. If I could pull the picture up right now and show you guys, he had an entire dining room table full of flies that were going out to a couple of the shops that he ties for commercially, and I asked him, I was like, man, Rich, how many months did that take you? And he's like, oh, it's just this weekend. It was unreal. So yeah, a lot of my trimmings go up to him. We worked out, a price point on that and everything. And yeah, we got that all squared away. But yeah, Rich and Tommy are the ones where most of the trimmings go to. I still have some but not as much as what I had here before. But yeah, once I'm able to scale the business and start going through a lot more hides, I would like to start getting into, sending some out to some shops and everything that do like community tying and things of that nature.
Do you have any plans in the future on maybe moving into elk?
Yeah, right. Currently, we are in the elk right now.
Oh, you
Yeah.
are?
Yep. We just got into them. The boys up in Idaho. I think we did 35 elk kinds this year, and that's probably going to double that next year. But yeah, we've got some bull, cow, and yearling elk, and those should be out, I'm hoping by mid-April. And there is a bleach float that I'm working on for these yearling that nobody's ever seen before. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, there's a float that I've been working on for a long time that'll translate over to the yearling elk that I'm really excited about. I think it's a color variation that hasn't been out there before, just because what I've been able to figure out how to preserve the hide while it's in a bleach float, because I mean it's very corrosive chemicals, but I found a way to not allow the hide to be affected by it, but the hair is still able to take the colors. And yeah, I'm excited about that one. Charlie's probably going to be the first one to get those. And you guys will all know it once Charlie gets it, because he is not shy about advertising anything.
No,
So yeah,
no, he's not.
yeah.
I'll have to get you in contact with Master Sergeant Velasic, retired, because remember he's the one that gets those late deer or late elk out of Utah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they get about 20 to 30 a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking to get into elk very heavily, especially once we get moved back out to Montana. When I was out there in January, I got 2 more butcher shops, 2 contacts out there that I'll be working with. I talked with them. We started discussing prices on, hides, how far in the process they would go as far as preserving them, or if I would pick them up green. And yeah, really excited to get up there and start working with those guys and really expand the elk stuff. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. That's a lot of work on those. Shaving an elk hide is not the same as shaving a deer hide, or fleshing for that matter as well. There's a lot more square footage there.
Is it the amount, the square footage, or is it more difficult because of the type of animal?
It's both the square footage and also the thickness of the hide.
Yeah.
An elk hide is probably 3 times as thick as a whitetail.
Wow.
Hmm.
Do you use mule deer at all?
I do. Yep.
Okay.
Early season mule deer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the early season mule deer. They have a very nice silver color. It's very tough to get them. You've got like a week and a half window, but they get this silver color that is absolutely gorgeous, and it has like a blonde tip to it. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. But like I said, you get a week and a half, if that.
Yeah.
If that.
So the hair that you market, is it pretty much all whitetail, or if it's mule deer, do you label it as such, or is it just deer hair?
It's just deer hair,
Okay.
really. Yeah, it's just deer hair. There are some, once it's dyed, you'd be really hard pressed to tell the difference between a whitetail and a mule deer. You really would. Yeah.
Do you still tie streamers?
I do.
I mean,
Yeah, I do.
sell streamers. I mean,
No, I don't
Yeah.
sell. No, I don't have the time to do it anymore. It's just even now, like there's just so much stuff going on out in the shop. It's still, 8 to 14 hours a day out there. So yeah, to be able to sit down and tie commercially, it's just not feasible. But I did just tie up a couple of these. I started messing around here with these a little bit. That's my little white girl right there. It's got a bent head on it. And then the way that it's shaved, it it's shaved flat on this side, similar to like how Tommy's D&D is, but it's on the side of it toward the bend. So when you pull on it, it actually kicks to the side. And then when you release the tension, it kind of recovers like a wounded minnow. Really cool pattern to fish. Love tying it. But yeah, I just started getting back into tying probably about 2 months ago. So yeah, I've actually been able to have some time in the evenings periodically to put a couple flies together. So yeah, missed that a lot.
I don't do a lot with those heavy deer-headed flies, streamers like that. You have to use a sinking line, sink tip, or whatever to get those down.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
how you fish them, is with a
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually a 30-foot sinking head. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because without it, like it really will, like you could weight your leader in that, but it's really
Yeah.
not going to get the effect. It's not going to stay level
Right.
throughout your retrieve. Yeah, it'll be more of a up and down type thing.
Excellent. Anybody else have any questions?
It's amazing. I've been doing. Mike and I have been here now for what, Mike? Close to 5 years, I guess. I think we've got close to 250 videos out on YouTube. And I'm constantly amazed at the different techniques and styles of tying and fishing in this
Mhm.
fly fishing business that we're all in right here. There's always something new to learn. Every week we learn something new, and
That's what keeps you
it's
coming back.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what keeps you coming back.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely.
And anybody who tells you they know it all, they're full of shit. Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah. Yeah. I still learn stuff every day. And that should be like honestly the goal. Like every time you're out fishing, if you didn't learn something, well, that was a wasted day,
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's always something to learn, always something new to pick up, a new technique, you know, watching different tires, um, just the way they set, their thread or the way they set their hair is
Yeah.
different from what I did and it turns out to be more efficient. So it's like, just picking up small techniques like that makes a difference. It really
Yeah,
does.
Al Beatty gave us a hint here a while back. He said, next time you watch a YouTube video, turn off the audio and just watch them
Oh,
tie.
wow.
It's amazing how much you learn by not listening to what they're saying.
Yeah. 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 If you're just paying attention to the action and not the words, yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
Just real quick, there's, like you were saying, a lot of times to you, it's kind of confusing of what category it fits into and everything.
Mhm.
But if I was going to go out and buy some hair, and mostly what I tie is um, caddis flies, maybe some um, paradons, humpies, that kind of thing. Is
Yep.
that more in the short fine category? You
Short
wouldn't
or
really want to use the long, big stuff for that, or
short or mid-season, Mike. Yeah. Yeah, short or mid-season. If you're doing anything in a size 14 or bigger, don't be afraid to go with the mid-season. It's a bigger patch. You get 3x4 pieces on that. So it will go a lot further as opposed to the short fine, which is a 2x3. But like it could be pretty difficult going anything 16 and below. on a mid-season patch. It really could. Now,
So like stimulators in, say, 8, 10, 8, 10, 12
yeah, mid-season all day long.
mid. Yep.
Yep, mid-season. Yep.
If I wanted to tie, say, a 14 or 16 bullet head, what
Yeah,
would you recommend for the bullet head? Same?
mid-season. Mid-season. Yep.
I got a fly
Yeah,
that I
because
love. I got a fly I really like called a mini muddler minnow, and I've had a
mm-hmm.
terrible time trying that, and usually a 14 or a 16, and trying to tie a bullet head that size has been a real challenge.
Yeah, so if you go with the short fine, a lot of times that hair is going to be an inch and an eighth and under. A
Yeah,
lot of times it's under an inch. So yeah, tying a bullet head with that would be really difficult. And there's not as much hollow properties in the short fine. If you go to the mid-season, a lot of that stuff's going to be in that sweet spot to where it's like right around an inch and a quarter, but it
Yeah.
also has more flair to it, more hollow properties.
yeah,
So it will fill out that bullet head a lot better for you, and also make the collar on the back side of it flare more.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would use the mid-season.
Mid-season, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Josh,
Yeah.
question for you. First of all, thank you for your service.
Likewise.
Greatly appreciated. You sound like one hell of a guy. You mentioned some name drops and some possible links or something earlier in our little session here. The guy wanted to learn more about intricacies of your type of tying or your type of hair. Can you
Mm-hmm.
give us some examples and some ideas?
As far as like the bigger streamers and stuff like that.
Just in general.
Yeah. So I have a lot of videos out on my own channel. They're kind of outdated now because I haven't been keeping up with it too much. But like Ellis Ward is one of the guys.
Okay.
He's a buddy of mine out in Tennessee. He does a lot of work with deer hair. Really good tire. He's a guide out on the South Holston. Tommy Lynch, famous for the D&D. Rich Strolis, his alter ego is a really good pattern for spinning and stacking deer hair. Andreas Anderson in Sweden. If you want to do anything in the bass bug or like Larry Dahlberg's divers, oh my goodness, his stuff. He is so talented. He did a lot of videos for Arex back in the day. And yeah, those videos are like very well shot. And as far as like spinning, stacking, a hybrid spin stack, his work is excellent. Excellent.
Is he the guy that
Perfect,
does
perfect.
like caddis or whatever, and he'll take bodkin and heat it, and then he'll heat that deer hair and cause it to bend, and I think that's the same guy.
I
I think I've
believe
seen it
so, yeah.
before.
Yep.
He heats a bodkin, and he moves the hair around and causes it to have more of a flat bottom and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
pretty interesting how he
Yep.
does that stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It just his thread control, his material control is unparalleled. It's unparalleled. And then you're able to see him like stack different colors on top of one another and how he moves the hair to get one color to differentiate itself from another when you trim it. It's mesmerizing. It really is. His stuff is just it. I would be afraid to fish it, honestly, because they're just perfect. They really are.
Very cool.
Yeah.